tí ẹ máa fi rí pé ìpè ìlú Ọ̀tà ó ti wà tipẹ́ ó dẹ̀ ní àwọn ipa ẹ máa rí different burial ground irú Reverend Edward Buko irú Reverend White ibi tó sin sí irú Mrs. Anna Hindley náà Sarah Green gbogbo ẹ̀ lẹ́ máa rí bẹ́rì wọn ní ibẹ̀
ìlú Ọ̀tà.
ìyẹn ni so ibẹ̀ gangan àga síìtì tí Àjàyí Crowther lò gbogbo ẹ̀ ló sì wà mẹ́ up to today.
Ẹ ṣeun kábíyèsí, ẹ ṣeun gidi gan, a dúpẹ́. Ọmọọba Adéọlá.
Kábíyèsí, adépẹ́ lórí o. Ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ìtọ́ni wa. Question mi ò really ní much. Mo kàn fẹ́ béèrè ẹ jọ ṣé gbogbo ṣé crown ní ṣó wá láti Ifẹ̀? Ẹ má bínú pé bóyá ó personal torí mo èyí fi pé gbogbo ọba aládé nílẹ̀ Yorùbá ni wọ́n lọ bó ṣe trace ancestry wọn sí Ifẹ̀ ni wọ́n ní nǹkan tó gbé wá láti Ilé Ifẹ̀.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni before pé mo sọ tẹ́lẹ̀ pé Ọ̀tà ti wà a dẹ̀ ti ní ọba lọ́tà before Òkòdùduwà tó dé.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni sir.
So a níyẹn. Then the last wave of migration tó gbé àwọn sọ́lọ̀ àwọn Akíṣẹ́yìnwá náà wá àwọn náà gbé adé wá láti Ifẹ̀. So a ní àwọn adé ìṣẹ̀ǹbáyé both ti àdáyébá àti ti gbogbo ẹ̀ ló wà lọ́tà. Ìyẹn là ń sọ fún yín pé àwọn kinní yìí a máa exhibit ẹ̀ ní museum Old Palace a fẹ́ sọ di museum gbogbo àwọn kinní ilẹ̀ jẹ́ máa rí tá a máa exhibit rẹ̀.
Ẹ ṣeun kábíyèsí.
Even títí kan àwọn aṣọ eégún tó lè sọ̀rọ̀ rí gbogbo ẹ̀ náà là ń ṣe ètò ẹ̀ because ẹ mọ̀ in a situation tí modernity àti past bá meet obviously there will be some disagreement but we are doing everything possible to ensure that Ọ̀tà showcase àwọn nǹkan tó ní.
Ẹ ṣeun kábíyèsí. I think what Kabesi said now just confirms the idea that we all still have something to do with Ife. And yes, like we always say in our sessions, and we look on what we still have connection. Don't work before the political structure developed in Ife. But if
káwọn olórí òṣìṣẹ́ bíi pẹ́pẹ́pẹ́ àṣà pẹ́lẹ́nu kọrin kése. Ẹ ṣeun gan fún gbogbo historical insights tẹ́tí fún wa sá. A máa bá yín pẹ́pẹ́pẹ́pẹ́. Ṣé ló dàbí pé ẹ rí di mind mi ẹ fẹ́ mọ̀ ẹ ti mọ̀ question tèmi fẹ́ béèrè torí a ti ń listen sí yín látàárọ̀ ẹ dárúkọ eégún rárá àmọ́ ní nǹkan bíi 15 seconds sẹ́yìn ẹ dárúkọ eégún. Ọmọ Yewa ni èmi Ìjọun ni bàbá mi ti wá Ìlàró ni ìyá mi. So mo gbé Ìlàró gan mo mọ̀ ń pa ọ̀jẹ̀ díẹ̀ mo dẹ̀ mọ̀ pé a máa wá ń ṣe ọdún eégún lọ́tà lára àbáṣepọ̀ tó wà nìyẹn pé àwọn ọ̀jẹ̀ Ọ̀tà wọ́n á wá bá ọ̀jẹ̀ ṣe ọdún nílàró ọ̀jẹ̀ Ìlàró wọ́n á wá bá ọ̀jẹ̀ ṣe ọdún ní Ọ̀tà. Lára nǹkan tí àwọn tán bí wa dẹ̀ sọ fún wa ń bẹ̀ ni wípé pé ọ̀jẹ̀ Ọ̀tà ó fẹsẹ̀ múlẹ̀ gidi gan. A ti ní àwọn ìfọ̀rọ̀jomitoro ọ̀rọ̀ lórí ìkànnì yìí fún bí ọjọ́ mélòó kan kábíyèsí nípa ọ̀rọ̀ eégún in fact àárọ̀ yìí a sì sọ so ẹ jọ ǹjẹ́ ẹ lè bóyá tí ò ní pẹ́ bí summary tẹ́ bá lè ṣe fún wa sà lórí ọ̀jẹ̀ ní Ọ̀tà àti the importance of egungun in Ọ̀tà kábíyèsí sà.
Ní pẹ̀lú Ìlàró àti Ọ̀tà traditionally wọ́n wọ́n súnmọ́ra wọn gan wọ́n súnmọ́ra wọn gan in fact relationship tó pọ̀ Ọ̀tà o Ìlaró o kí ló ń pe orúkọ ìlú yìí o Ìlóbí a ní relationship gan pẹ̀lú àwọn Yewa pàápàá tẹ bá wo migration àwọn Ìlaró nígbà tó ń bọ̀ láti Ọ̀yọ́ Ọ̀tà ló kọ́kọ́ dé sí àgọ́ Ìlaró ó wà lọ́tà tẹ bá dẹ̀ wá wo relationship even up to ọ̀rọ̀ kábíyèsí then ọ̀rọ̀ ọ̀jẹ̀ àwọn fada Ìró tẹ bá wo the present Alápinni Ìlaró ṣe fada Ìró san bàbá wọn ni used to be Ba Olota of Ota tó ti jẹ tipẹ́. This is a former minister in the Shifada Ìró former minister in the Western region. Tẹ́ bá wá wo àwọn náà ní ọmọ wọn dẹ̀ ló jẹ Alápinni Ìlaró nísìn which is olórí àwọn ọ̀jẹ̀. Tẹ́ bá dẹ̀ tún wá wo ọmọ wọn míì náà ló jẹ Ba Olota of Ota up till now Ṣẹ́gun Fada Ìró. Tẹ́ bá wá wo ọ̀jẹ̀ àwọn Ìtìmókò Ọ̀yọ́ làwọn náà ti wá àwọn Ìtìmókò lọ́tà Ọ̀yọ́ ló ti wá so àwọn dẹ̀ ni ó wà grounded gan nínú ọ̀jẹ̀ Ọ̀tà ń sìn Ọ̀tà dẹ̀ ni mẹ́ka eégún kì í ṣe ní just nílẹ̀ Yorùbá Ọ̀tà ni mẹ́ka eégún in fact there are so many books even táwọn òyìnbó ti wá tọwọ́ akọ tó tún ṣe research tó ń sọ pé Ọ̀tà o nípa ọ̀rọ̀ eégún nílẹ̀ Yorùbá Ọ̀tà jẹ́ number 1 àwọn òde ń ṣe àwọn òun ṣe eégún à ń ṣe ọdún eégún wa ọdún eégún wa máa ń ṣe a lè ṣe once in 3, 4, 5 years depending tó bá ọmọ máa béèrè lọ́wọ́ Ifá after 3 years tá bá ti ṣe ọdún eégún ọmọ máa béèrè lọ́wọ́ Ifá ni ó dìgbà tó Ifá bá ní ká ṣe ọdún eégún mi nísìnyí at least a ti ṣe the last ọdún eégún ó ti tó 4 years ago ó ti tó 4 years ago so dẹ̀ tí ṣe another one so until tí Ifá bá ti dá Ifá tí Ifá bá ti ní okay kó ṣọdún eégún but a máa ń ṣe ọ̀sẹ̀ ní ọ̀sẹ̀ àwọn eégún máa ń jáde ní ìjọ ọ̀sẹ̀ just láti jẹ́ káwọn èèyàn mọ̀ pé nǹkan báyìí ó wà ń lù ó ṣùgbọ́n ọdún eégún wa ó lárinrin ó dẹ̀ ṣe dáadáa ó dẹ̀ ọdún eégún Ọ̀tà number 1 àwọn àgbà tó yẹ pé kì í ṣe ọ̀ṣẹ́ oògùn ló fẹ́ sọ ni so many things a ní eégún lọ́tà tó yẹ pé ó lè jókòó ẹ̀ nírí jókòó ń díẹ̀ á dẹ̀ jókòó sófurufú àwọn eégún wa gan a fi ń jagun wọ́n máa yìnbọn fún eégún ẹ̀ẹ́dẹ̀ rí eégún tó ń lọ ẹ̀tún rí eégún tó yẹ pé ó dẹ̀ máa dúró sófurufú so ọ̀rọ̀ eégún lọ́tà kì í ṣe ọ̀rọ̀ kékeré ní gbogbo environment area yẹn náà there is lots of relationship between Ọ̀tà pẹ̀lú ọ̀rọ̀ eégún pẹ̀lú gbogbo ilẹ̀ Àwórì even ní Ìlaró tá à ń sọ yìí Àwórì ló ń sọ o ní Ìlaró tó bá sọ tẹ́ bá máa kí yín náà kí ti gbé lọ máa sọ bọ́yẹ máa ń pe àwọn àgbàlagbà wọn náà ògbólími ẹ̀yẹn àbí mo parọ́.
PFA
kábíyèsí rárá sà.
Ní Ìlaró
ṣe ògbóni mo kọ́kọ́ kí yín mo ní ògbóni mi kábíyèsí o.
bàdẹ̀yẹ sọ nílẹ̀ Àwórì náà ni ògbólími o so ìkan náà ni wá ìkan náà ni wá.
ẹ ṣeun kábíyèsí a dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ yín fún ìbéèrè tẹ́ fún wa tẹ́ dáhùn. Awori Saxon, it's your turn now, please.
I think let me give my turn to someone else because èmi ò ní question tí mo lè fẹ́ béèrè tí mo
a máa tún padà wá.
so let me
Okay ẹ ṣeun. Mr. Kazeem.
Ẹ ṣe kábíyèsí o, mo kí yín o, mo kí orí adé o, kí adé ó pẹ́ lórí o, kí bàtà ó pẹ́ lẹ́sẹ̀ o. Ẹ ṣe mo dúpẹ́ kí ẹ honour invitation yìí even in a short notice. Like you said, kábíyèsí sir, nípa replacing the House of Representative to the House of Obas, it's a very good idea because after all in England we have the House of Lords and the House of Commons. So that is much possible, and I believe our scholars in Yoruba land are really actually working to make this come to reality. So another thing in kábíyèsí, mo fẹ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ question kan ní sir. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wa la máa ń rí àwọn ọba nílẹ̀ Yorùbá tó ta máa ń rí ìrùkẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ wọn, ìrùkẹ̀rẹ̀ ẹṣin. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ sà, báwo ló ṣe jẹ́, ìgbà wo ló jẹ́, báwo ló yín wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí máa mú ìrùkẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ as significance àdè máa mọ like láti mọ nǹkan tó really signify. Ẹ ṣe mọ́ ẹ̀rọ sà.
Ṣe rí ìrùkẹ̀rẹ̀ number one, ẹ rí páwọn èèyàn máa ń tà láti gba ọba lọ́wọ́ nígbà tí ọ̀rọ̀ làjú dé. Then number two, ẹ rí pé ó easy fún ọba láti mú ìrùkẹ̀rẹ̀ láti máa jù tó bá ń kí. Èèyàn mélòó ló bá fẹ́ máa sọ fún pé tó ń kí ọba kábíyèsí o, èèyàn mélòó ọba ń kí ààrẹ ọba náà. But sáàyìn pé ọba ń kíyàn tó bá ti mú ìrùkẹ̀rẹ̀ yẹn tó bá ti ń jù. Even ẹ rí láyé àtijọ́ tó bá wà ní mọ́tò tó bá wà lẹ́yìn a máa ju ìrùkẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ bó ṣe ń lọ, then onífèrè ẹ̀ gan á wà níwájú ní driver side á máa fún fèrè lọ. So láti make life easy fún ọba náà ni, ṣùgbọ́n most importantly àwọn èèyàn kan nígbà tó làjú dé yìí náà wọ́n fẹ́ máa ṣèkè ọwọ́ ọba, but tó bá ti mú ìrùkẹ̀rẹ̀ dání ó ṣáà lè ju ìrùkẹ̀rẹ̀ rẹ̀ kó ṣẹ̀ ní ó fẹ́ ṣèkè èèyàn. So gbogbo àwọn nǹkan tó surround the area yẹn nìyẹn.
Ẹ ṣeun kábíyèsí, àwọn fẹ́ bèrè àwọn ìbéèrè méjì kan tí àwọn kan fi ránṣẹ́ sí mi, lẹ́yìn náà la máa gba àwọn yòókù tó wà lórí ìkànnì láti béèrè. Ìbéèrè àkọ́kọ́ ni lórí ọ̀rọ̀ nǹkan sọ nǹkan ìgbà tó ń fi ìbéèrè ránṣẹ́ sí mi sọ pé ọ̀rọ̀ yìí ọ̀rọ̀ ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó ni, ṣùgbọ́n ó ní í ṣe pẹ̀lú ọ̀rọ̀ Àwórì náà, torí ẹ̀ mo ṣe fẹ́ béèrè ìbéèrè náà kábíyèsí. Wọ́n ń béèrè wípé kí ni ẹ lè sọ fún wa nípa ìtàn Ọ̀ṣọ́dì àtàwọn tó ní ibi tó ń pè ní Ọ̀ṣọ́dì sọ̀lọ̀ lónìí ní ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó.
Well, ilẹ̀ Àwórì náà ni, but from nǹkan tèmi learn ni pé àwọn Ìgbẹ̀sà ló populate area Ọ̀ṣọ́dì, and that is what I learned. I may be right, I may be wrong, but gbogbo ẹ̀ náà ilẹ̀ Àwórì ni. Àtàbá ń sọ̀rọ̀ Àwórì ẹ rí pé bí mo ṣe sọ tẹ́lẹ̀ different group ọ̀n wá láti gbogbo ọ̀nà Ifẹ̀ lọ ti wá o, but they came at different time or they settled sí different places. Ẹ rí bí Ọ̀ṣọ́lọ̀ bó ṣe wá náà, àwọn náà ṣe tutù wọn wá, àwọn Ìwù náà ó ṣe tutù wọn wá, àwọn iṣẹ́ mọ̀, so àwọn ọdẹ ń bára wọn bẹ́ẹ̀ ọdẹ ní ẹ̀yin ti wá bíbá before ṣẹ́ mọ̀, it's migration, it's all about migration. But nǹkan tèmi rí ń bẹ̀ ni pé àwọn Àwórì ni àkọ́kọ́ wá populate gbogbo bẹ̀rẹ̀, and the reason tí wọ́n fi ń pè ní Àwórì náà ni pé nítorí bá ṣe ń ṣètùtù wa tó máa ní kẹ́ ẹ gbé igbá yìí sórí omi o, tó bá ti wọlẹ̀ ibẹ̀ ní kẹ́ ẹ settle sí. so obviously ní gbogbo bẹ̀rẹ̀ náà ẹ ráwọn odò kéékèèké tó máa gbáwo sí because in the olden days ibi tí kí human being tó lè survive omi láti wà ní environment ẹ̀ á ṣàmú mi so gbogbo yẹn náà ni ó ní gbogbo ẹ̀ náà ni lẹ máa rí tó fi sọ pé òkè o but àti ìgbẹ́sà o àti ìsọlọ àti gbogbo ẹ̀kan náà ni gbogbo wa because the same area náà ní Ifẹ̀ náà ni gbogbo wa ti ń wá ta ti ń wá.
ẹ ṣeun kábíyèsí ìbéèrè kejì tí wọ́n fi ránṣẹ́ sí mi ni wípé báwo lẹ ṣe ń bá àwọn ìjọba ṣe pàápàá níbi pé ìgbà míì wọ́n lè fẹ́ ṣe àwọn ètò kan ní ìlú kápẹ́ ní Ọ̀tà báyìí sìn ọ̀tọ̀ nìkan tí ẹ̀yin tẹ́ jẹ́ gẹ́gẹ́ bí bàbá wa gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọba ní Ọ̀tà ọ̀tọ̀ nìkan tẹ́ mọ̀ pé ìlú nílò ọ̀tọ̀ nìkan tí ìjọba fẹ́ gbé sílùú so tó bá ti ń ṣe bí nǹkan tó ń pè ní capital project sometimes they're not really doing things that the people need but nǹkan táwọn ti kọ sínú ètò ìṣúná àbí ètò ìṣúná that's the budget wọ́n ti ní nǹkan tó ti kọ síbẹ̀ báwo ni ẹ ṣe ń kópa báwo lẹ ṣe ń bá ìjọba sọ̀rọ̀ tó wá jẹ́ pé nǹkan tó fẹ́ ṣe sí ìlú ní nǹkan tí ìlú nílò kí kàn jẹ́ pé wọ́n kàn ń ṣe nǹkan tó ti kọ sínú ìwé ìṣúná wọn fún ọdún látọdún sọdún so ìbéèrè basically is that báwo lẹ ṣe ń bá wọn ṣe tó fi jẹ́ wípé nǹkan tó lọ kàn fẹ́ ṣe ó jẹ́ nǹkan tí àwọn èèyàn ìlú àwọn aráàlú tán nílò.
èèyàn mọ̀ pé tẹ́lẹ̀ mo ti sọ fún yín mo ní èèyàn láti wà diplomatic èèyàn dẹ̀ láti èèyàn máa lobby náà ni èèyàn máa lobby ni because a máa ń ṣe town hall meeting náà àwọn gọ́ọ̀mẹ̀ntì máa ń ṣe town hall meeting tó yẹ pé ọmọ á ní kí àwa ọba náà àdèmá attend a máa sọ àwọn problems tá a ní nílùú and ìgbà míì a sọ pé òkè wo ni priority tá a fẹ́ a list ẹ̀ náà fún wọn and again èèyàn láti follow ẹ̀ up and that is why tí ọba kì í ṣe pé ọba kan máa jẹ̀gbádùn máa jókòó sínú mọ́tò máa sùn máa ṣe kíní ọba láti ṣiṣẹ́ fún ìlú ni tó ọba tí ò bá ṣiṣẹ́ kò lè realize anything fún ìlú ẹ because there are so many towns competing for few things nítorí ẹ̀ ni kì í ṣe pé ọba kan ń jókòó iṣẹ́ pọ̀ nínú position ọba yìí and that is why you see a lot of obas náà tó máa ń fẹ́ ní good relationship pẹ̀lú government because tí ọba ní good relationship pẹ̀lú government báwo ló ṣe fẹ́ attract nǹkan wá sílùú ẹ̀ so gbogbo kìíní yìí náà ni mo sọ ọba has to be a diplomat and at the same time you must be able to lobby things lobby government for so many things that you want for your community.
bẹ́ẹ̀ni ẹ ṣeun kábíyèsí ó ní nǹkan tí nǹkan bẹ̀rẹ̀ lẹ́ẹ̀kan ṣùgbọ́n náà pé ẹ ti dáhùn ẹ̀ mọ́rọ̀ bó ti yẹ pé ó sì ní kékeré ó bẹ̀rẹ̀ pé ìgbà wípé ṣé kábíyèsí ní èròǹgbà láti dá kàwé bí àwọn kan àgbáyé so that's library and gallery and archives in Ọ̀tà ẹ ti sọ̀rọ̀ lórí ẹlẹ́kan pé ó níbi tẹ́fẹ́ ó ní ìpẹ́yìn ṣiṣẹ́ kan lórí museum.
even now àti kọ́ e-library ti wà lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ palace e-library ti wà lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ palace ó yẹ pé à ń equip ẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ ni. then ọ̀tọ̀ ni museum ọ̀tọ̀ ni e-library there are two different things and the projects are going on simultaneously.
ẹ ṣeun kábíyèsí ẹ jọ kí n tó ní káwọn yòókù béèrè mo fẹ́ béèrè pé bí ìṣẹ́jú mélòó lẹ ṣẹlẹ̀ ní fún wa ká bá lè mọ̀ bá ṣe máa béèrè àwọn béèrè wa sí.
Actually mo jẹ́ 10 minutes because mo busy gan.
ok kábíyèsí ẹ ṣeun kábíyèsí a dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ yín pé nípa àpè yín ẹ sì jẹ́ wa ẹ ṣeun àní pẹ́ parí báyìí so Àdùnní Fọláṣadé ìyá wa ìbéèrè kan péré ẹdúkẹ́sì ìbéèrè kan a máa lọ ṣókí kí n bá lè béèrè àwọn nǹkan méjì tó kù tí mo fẹ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ bíbí ká tó máa lọ. ẹ jọ ìṣẹ́jú kan.
kábíyèsí o mo kí orí adé o
ẹ ṣeun bàbá wa tẹ́ wá sí ètò ìpè fún wa ẹ ṣeun bàbá wa o mo kí yín o adé apẹ́ lórí bàtà apẹ́ lẹ́sẹ̀ o ìbéèrè tèmi ni pé nípa ọ̀rọ̀ ètò fún àwọn àgbẹ̀ náà ni mo fẹ́ béèrè torí mi ò sí ńbẹ̀ nígbà tí wọ́n tẹ̀ ń ṣàlàyé nípa ẹ̀ èmi ọmọ Abẹ́òkúta ni mí àdátọ́ndẹ̀ ni ilé wa wà mo wá ní kí n béèrè pé báwo ni kí ni ètò tí Ogun State as a whole tí wọ́n dá sílẹ̀ fún àwọn àgbẹ̀ tí ó máa lè protect àwọn àgbẹ̀ tẹ́rù òfin ní máa bà wọ́n láti máa invest lórí farming especially àwa náà a ní oko ní Abẹ́òkúta táwa náà dá ìwọ̀n tá a bá wà nílùú òyìnbó àyè lóko tiwa ní Ogun State so ìbéèrè tèmi nìyẹn ní àtọwọ́ yín and kí ni àwa ọmọ Ẹ̀gbá lè ṣe láti fi jẹ́ kí Ẹ̀gbá kó wà okay I mean bí nǹkan bí museum mo lọ sọ́yọ́ mo rí museum lọ́yọ́ I did not see something like that in Ogun State or maybe I don't know where it is ìbéèrè tèmi nìyẹn ṣé o adé ọpẹ́ lórí o kábíyèsí.
Yeah, no, number one, Tebari, the present Ogun State government, they are investing a lot on agriculture. Tebawo area Odeda farm settlement. Area àwọn modern companies talking partner pẹ̀lú Ogun State government. Irú àwọn Allah. Tebawo Allah láwọn Europe yìí. Àwọn tó ń ṣe butter, tó ń ṣe dairy, tó ń ṣe milk, tó ń ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀. Tebade Odeda farm settlement in sin a lot of things, wonderful things going on. Facilitated by Ogun State government. Ẹ tún wá wo rice ẹ mọ̀ pé Fadama project wà ní Ogun State ní Abẹ́òkúta already tó ti ń gbin rice ọ̀fadà gbogbo ẹ̀ ìyẹn náà òun lọ́dẹ ilẹ̀ tún wà lọ fún farming tó yẹ pé téèyàn bá fẹ́ ṣe farming I think ó tiẹ̀ níye gọ́ọ̀mẹ̀ntì ò kí ń gbowó púpọ̀ lórí àwọn ilẹ̀ yẹn wọ́n dẹ̀ máa ń fún wọn wọ́n máa ń lease ẹ̀ fún wọn in acres about 99 years for farming títí mọ́ gbogbo iye wa yẹn ni àwọn ilẹ̀ yẹn lọ sí títí wọ adóodò ni gọ́ọ̀mẹ̀ntì lease àwọn ilẹ̀ yẹn fáwọn èèyàn fún farming only recently tí gọ́ọ̀mẹ̀ntì tó through federal government to Ogun State government tó ń pín àwọn seed fún àwọn farmers and some other things láti aid àwọn fertilizers náà láti aid agriculture so farming ní Ogun State even títí kan gbogbo bí ẹni ní àwọn Akínálé axis yẹn gbogbo bẹ̀yẹn ni wọ́n designate as farming area táwọn èèyàn gan tún lọ ń ra ilẹ̀ tí wọ́n fi ń ṣe farming so there are lots of farming activities going on in Ogun State and Ogun State is one of the major agricultural states ní Nigeria even títí kan títí wọlú Ọ̀tà irú farm coca farm settlement náà farming ṣì ń lọ gbogbo area yẹn so mo fi pé ẹni tó bá contact the Ministry of Agric tẹ́ bá nídìí ilẹ̀ I'm sure they will respond positively and tí ẹ bá ní issue you can contact me and I will link you up so ọ̀rọ̀ farming ó wà.
ẹ ṣeun kábíyèsí.
ẹ ṣé sir thank you so much sir. ẹ
ṣeun kábíyèsí.
Daddy
inú mi dùn pé kábíyèsí yẹn ń sọ̀rọ̀ madam amanda torí àkókò kábíyèsí má bínú inú mi dùn pé kábíyèsí ṣe ń sọ̀rọ̀ wọ́n fi hàn wípé ìbáṣepọ̀ tó dán mọ́rán wà láàrin ìlú Ọ̀tà àti kábíyèsí gọ̀gọ̀ fúnra wọn àti ìpínlẹ̀ Ògùn so àwọn kankan àtàbẹ̀ tẹ́ pé kì í ṣọ̀rọ̀ Ọ̀tà ọ̀rọ̀ Ògùn ni ṣùgbọ́n kábíyèsí yànnà náà fún wa wọ́n sì ràn wá lọ́wọ́ láti jẹ́ pé kó yé wa dáadáa so adúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ yín kábíyèsí ẹ̀ ṣeun gan. Arákùnrin educated stream please 1 question 1 minute and then we can move on.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni sọ kábíyèsí o mo kí o kádé pẹ́ lórí kí bàtà pẹ́ lẹ́sẹ̀ kí ìrùkẹ̀rẹ̀ pẹ́ lọ́wọ́ kẹfọ́ pàtìlẹ̀ títí kí irun kó di ewu kí wá pẹ́ lórí kọrin kése mo kí n sà ìbéèrè kan náà ni mo ní àwa báyìí diaspora làwa dàgbà sí láti kékeré láti wà ní diaspora ó ní ọdún tó máa ń ṣe ní diaspora tó máa ń pè ní ọdún Halloween tá máa ń mọ̀ sí ọdún àwọn àjẹ́ mo notice pé nílẹ̀ kóòtù òjìrè we tend to focus on the negative external forces, the negative aspect of it. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe jẹ́ ọba Ọ̀tà, àdèmọ̀ wípé àwọn ìyá wa lọ́tẹ̀ Ọ̀tàdó. Ṣé ọdún kan dá wà yàtọ̀ tẹ máa fi celebrate àwọn ìyá mi so that a lè rí ìyọ́nú wọn and so on and so forth ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀tà, sir? Nǹkan tí mi fẹ́ béèrè nìyẹn.
Ní Ọ̀tà, ìgà kan wà tó ń pè ní ìgà Ẹrẹ̀lú. Ìgà àwọn tó ń wà nípa ọ̀rọ̀ àwọn àjẹ́ nìyẹn. Ó dẹ̀ ní àwọn different things tó ń bọ̀, àwọn ọdún different things tó ń ṣe náà internally expose ẹ̀, because ẹ mọ̀ pé nílẹ̀ Yorùbá tá bá ti sọ̀rọ̀ àjẹ́ báyìí everybody máa mérè ni. Bí àwọn òyìnbó ń celebrate tiwọn, wọ́n ń celebrate bravery àti gbogbo nǹkan tó ń rí gbà nínú wizardry àti witches, but ní ọ̀dọ̀ tiwa àwa máa ń bẹ̀rù, even to mention àjẹ́ lásán ẹ̀rù máa bà àwọn èèyàn. But it's only recently là ń try láti bring awareness tí à ń try láti ṣe, but nígbà tí eléyìí tẹ́ tó wá raise yìí ó dùn mọ́ mi nú. It's something I will look into it and consult. Ṣùgbọ́n ọba náà ò lè dá ṣe nǹkan, and láti jókòó pẹ̀lú wọn náà ni láti wò pé can we move forward in this direction, and with this question màá wo nǹkan tí mo lè ṣe sí. Yes, we should be able to celebrate. We should be able to celebrate as well. I see no reason why we can't, because ọdún ojú ti ń là, and we should not look at the negative side. We should look at the positive side as well.
Ẹ ṣeun kábíyèsí. Ìbéèrè oko ibi méjì ká tó máa lọ. Mo fẹ́ béèrè wípé nílẹ̀ Yorùbá, ara nǹkan tí Yorùbá fi yàtọ̀ sí àwọn ẹ̀yà míì nílẹ̀ Nàìjíríà ni wípé a lè rí ẹbí kan kí oríṣiríṣi ẹ̀sìn wọ́n wà nínú ẹbí náà. Mo fẹ́ béèrè pé gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọba aládé tó jẹ gàba lórí gbogbo ìlú Ọ̀tà, pé báwo ni ẹ ṣe ń ṣe tó yẹ pé, torí oríṣiríṣi kan là ń gbọ́ lẹ́nu ọjọ́ mẹ́ta yìí, à ń gbọ́ pé àwọn kan fẹ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ ṣàríà bí kan, à ń gbọ́ pé àwọn kan sọ pé àwọn lòdì sáwọn ẹ̀sìn kan bí kan. A fẹ́ bèèrè pé báwo ni a ṣe lè ṣe nílẹ̀ Yorùbá tó jẹ́ wípé a ò ní pàdánù àlàáfíà ta ní láàrin ara wa sí jàgídíjàgan ọ̀rọ̀ ẹ̀sìn, pé báwo lẹ̀yin ṣe ń ṣe tẹ́ fi ń kó owó èèyàn pọ̀, àti pé ọ̀rọ̀ olè lè sọ fún wa láti rí wípé a pàdánù àlàáfíà ta ní ilẹ̀ wa. Ẹ ṣeun.
Lágbára Ọlọ́run ní pàdánù àlàáfíà tó wà láàrin gbogbo wa. Pàápàá èmi gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọba, kò sí ẹ̀sìn tèmi lòdì sí. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe ń rí mi ní church lẹ máa rí mi ní mosque, lẹ́dẹ̀ máa rí mi pẹ̀lú àwọn oníṣẹ̀ṣe, nítorí kì í ṣe ọba section kan lèèyàn jẹ, ọba gbogbo ìlú lèèyàn jẹ. Nígbà tó yá wọn ní eégún fẹ́ jáde níjọ́ Christmas, mo ní kò sí nǹkan tó jọ. Gbogbo àwọn lèèyàn máa try láti máa put in place. So but lágbára Ọlọ́run Ọlọ́run á kọ́ wa mọ̀ ṣe, ṣùgbọ́n ọba ò gbọ́dọ̀ wà pàṣẹ ọba láti máa ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀pọ̀ ni, ó dẹ̀ láti máa regulate gbogbo ẹ̀ so that ní class wọ́ra wọn. Irú ọdún àwọn Christian ní Christmas, so eégún ò lè tún lọ jáde níjọ́ Christmas, so gbogbo àwọn nǹkan mẹ́rin la máa regulate, la make sure pé kò clash mọ́ra wọn, so that every religion must respect other religion. So nǹkan tí mi rí ní ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn. Ṣùgbọ́n ọ̀rọ̀ sharia èmi ò nídìí sàríà ní ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. Èmi ò rí reason tá a fi fẹ́ nídìí sàríà nílẹ̀ Yorùbá. Ẹ mọ̀, àfi tó lówó bá ti jẹun yó tán kó wá máa wá bẹ́kùnbẹ́kùn kiri. Bọ́rọ̀ yẹn ṣe rí nìyẹn.
Wọ́n bẹ́kùnbẹ́kùn kiri bẹ́ẹ̀ ni kábíyèsí. Ẹ ṣeun kábíyèsí. Ìbéèrè kan tó máa fi ṣídi ètò ó ní kan táwọn kan béèrè nípa àwọn tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ ní àwọn ìlú bóyá inú àwọn oko àbí inú àwọn ẹ̀gàn, wípé ipa wo lẹ̀ ń kó láti rí wípé bóyá pẹ̀lú àwọn ọlọ́pàá ni àbí pẹ̀lú àwọn agbófinró, àwọn àmọ̀tẹ́kùn, láti rí wípé àwọn tó ń dà wọ́n láàmú, àwọn tó ń dẹran wọ oko wọn, ipa wo lẹ̀ lè kó, torí pé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn kan wà lórí ìkànnì tẹ́ pé wọ́n ń gbé Nàìjíríà, àwọn kan náà ń gbé òkè òkun tán wò pé àwọn fẹ́ ṣiṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ ní ilé baba wọn, ṣùgbọ́n ẹ̀rù máa ń bà àwọn ẹlòmíì torí pé wọ́n mọ bí àwọn tó ń dẹran kan tó máa ń ṣe lórí oko wọn kó máa di nǹkan míì. Pé so ìbéèrè náà ni wípé ipa wo lẹ̀ ń kó àbí kílẹ̀ pé àwọn èèyàn lè ṣe láti ní ìfọkànbalẹ̀ pé tán bá wá kówó tí wọ́n máa ṣokòwò lórí ọ̀rọ̀ alágbẹ̀dẹ kò ní di wípé àwọn darandaran jẹ oko wọn kò lè ní sí nǹkan tó máa ṣe. Kí ni ìjọba àti ẹ̀yin kábíyèsí ń ṣe lórí ọ̀rọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀? Ẹ ṣeun kábíyèsí.
Ṣe ti rí sìn pé nínú bọ́jẹ̀tì 2025 nsìn federal government tó máa establish ranches kiri, including Ogun State, Lagos State náà àwọn ranches máa wà so láti control invasion yìí. So ẹ rí pé ìyẹn náà máa help wa, àti pé àwọn ọlọ́pàá àti àwọn OPC àtàwọn ọlọ́dẹ gbogbo wọn náà ti wà wíwá ń sìn pé, àti even àwọn tó ń dẹran pé no go area ní pé kọ́ máa dẹran wọnú oko olóko. ẹ rí pé kíní ẹ̀ ó ti reduce drastically nísìnyí, but again solution náà ni pé gọ́ọ̀mẹ̀ntì náà wọ́n ti ń set up ranches, so lágbára Ọlọ́run ìyẹn náà á jẹ́ kí ìsinmi wà fún gbogbo wa.
A lérò pé ranches yẹn ń dàbí ọ̀rọ̀ rúgà àti ẹ̀kọ́ gbalẹ̀ àbí nǹkan táwọn kan sọ gbà kan.
No. I hope it will work. I hope. I'm optimistic.
Okay.
I'm optimistic pé ó máa ṣiṣẹ́.
Ẹ ṣeun.
Yeah.
Ẹ ṣeun kábíyèsí. Ẹ ṣeun. Kí ló di pé ẹ máa lọ kábíyèsí, ẹnìkan ó ń kéwì ó ń ríkì fún yín ní ẹ̀kọ́ kó tó di pé network wọn ó fẹ́ lọ. Wọ́n fẹ́ ṣe lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí kọ́jú kan máa fún àwọn adúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ yín àti máa bèrè like your closing remarks. So we're going to take the oriki and then your closing remarks. Kábíyèsí, ẹ ṣeun sir. Sorry, after the oriki we'll take Awori Saxon's closing remarks, then Kábíyèsí's parting words. Bukola Ade. All right, Awori Saxon, please, are you there? We don't want to keep Kábíyèsí waiting. Awori Saxon. All right.
Okay.
Bukola, are you there?
Yes, I'm ambitious.
Is Bukola there? Okay, ẹ káàbọ̀. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ máa bẹ́ tó lọ. Awori Saxon, you give the closing remarks after her, please. Thanks.
Kí ti gbé orá mi o, kábíyèsí ọba wa láìlúwà, ọba láńlẹ́gẹ́t ọlọ́tà tìlú Ọ̀tà jẹ́ pé ayé o. Mo kí kábíyèsí o, mo súnmọ́ balùwẹ̀ Ẹgbẹ̀fà.
Oh boy. All right, I think we're having some issues with our connection. So I'm going to síwájú díẹ̀ sí.
Yeah, so let Awori Saxon go, yeah.
Right. Ẹ jẹ́ kí n kọ́kọ́ dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run pé a fi ètò yìí sí èní. A dẹ̀ bá ṣe dájọ́ ọjọ́ yẹn kò. Ká tún wá dú ọpẹ́ ńlá fún kábíyèsí wa Ọlọ́tà àti ìlú Ọ̀tà. Nítorí pé a fẹ́ lè sọ pé notice wa ṣe bí ẹni tí wọ́n fẹ́ short. But kí n sọ pé bóyá àwa ọmọ wọn náà ni a lè ṣe bí a yọ̀ sí wọn lọ́rùn ni. Kábíyèsí ẹ ṣé gan, a dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ yín fún bí a ṣe pè yín tí ẹ dẹ̀ jẹ́ wa, àti gbogbo àwọn ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ tí ẹ ti fi bọ́ wa, àti àwọn ìtàn tí ẹ ti yànnàná, àti bí ètò ìṣe ìjọba pẹ̀lú àwọn tí à ń dìbò yàn, àti ẹ̀yin tó jẹ́ ẹ̀yin ni ká sọ pé custodian tradition àti culture, ibi tí wọ́n ti merge àti bóyá bíi ká sọ pé points of collision bí ẹ ṣe bá wa tàn mọ́lẹ̀ sí àwọn àyè tí kò yé wa ń bẹ̀. And then one way or another ẹ tún bá wa manage láti touch on àwọn conversations kan tí a ti ní bíbá ìtẹ́lẹ̀ particularly lórí ọ̀rọ̀ egungun tí mo dẹ̀ mọ̀ pé a sì máa tún sọ̀rọ̀ lé lórí tí ẹ̀yin bá kúrò. Ẹ ṣé gan kábíyèsí, a dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ yín o, a máa rí yín bá o. Kí a gbọ́dọ̀ gbàdúrà pé kí ọkọ ọba àbá ọ̀dà ọba, a gbọ́dọ̀ gbàdúrà irú àdúrà yẹn fún ọba.
Ọgán lọ́ba.
Àwọn gan lọ́ba. So àdúrà tá a máa gbà fún yín ni pé kí ìrùkẹ̀rẹ̀ kó di òkínní, kí gbogbo bí orúkọ yín nílùú Ọ̀tà àti nílẹ̀ Yorùbá lápapọ̀ tí kó máa lọ kọrin kéṣe ní ti fún ti dáadáa. Bá a ṣe rántí àwọn ọba wa kan, tí a rántí àwọn òrìṣà wa kan, tí a dẹ̀ rántí àwọn ọmọ ògbóǹtarìgì ilẹ̀ Yorùbá kọ̀ọ̀kan tó jẹ́ tá a bá ń dárúkọ wọn à ń gbọ́lá fún wọn even lẹ́yìn pé wọ́n ti papòdà. Bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ló ṣe máa rí fún yín kábíyèsí, a dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ yín, ẹ ṣeun. Thank you very much, sir. So I kábíyèsí, once again let me apologize because I just called you out of the blue. I don't want to say my real name here. I don't want to say my government's name. But so mo mọ̀ pé mo yọ̀ sí yín lọ́rùn ní láàárọ̀ bí mo ṣe kàn pè yín out of the blue. Mo dẹ̀ dúpẹ́, thank you very much. I'm so grateful. So mo máa pè yín lẹ́yìn, a máa sọ yòókù lẹ́yìn, ẹ ṣeun gan. And to everyone in the room, thank you very much for joining. Thank you for your questions. And I'm particularly very impressed with you guys today. Your Moluabi today was much better than the other day. So we're all learning and we're all improving. So, and for future editions where we're able to bring in other of our royal fathers, because I'm very sure this is the beginning of a new chapter in what we're doing with regard to educating ourselves on our culture and our history. So thank you everyone for your participation and for the conversation, and I'm sure we will continue. Kábíyèsí Olota, ẹ ṣeun gan, thank you very much. Ẹ bá wa fún wa ní ìwúre ráńpẹ́ before you leave the stage and leave us to the rest of our conversation. Thank you, sir.
Lágbára Elédùmarè.
Line in.
Lágbára Elédùmarè. Gbogbo wa a rí ọdún tuntun tó ń bọ̀ lọ́nà yìí, aṣojú ẹ̀mí wa. Á sàn wá. Owó á sàn wá sọmọ, á sàn wá sálàáfíà. Gbogbo àwa ní gbé sájò lágbára Ọlọ́run, àkéré oko délé. Ọkọ ọba kò ní ṣá wa lẹ́sẹ̀ o. Ẹ̀mí gígùn, àlàáfíà àti owó tá a máa fi ṣe ayé, Ọlọ́run á pèsè ẹ̀ fún wa o. Lágbára Ọlọ́run, bí gbogbo ẹ̀ bó ṣe rí, bí gbogbo ẹ̀ náà tó ṣe ń rí bákan tó ń le kò ní le mọ́ kankan ní wa lágbára Ọlọ́run. Gbogbo bí tá a bá dé, Ọlọ́run á máa gbé wa ká láàánú o. Mo tún kí yín lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí pé Happy New Year in advance. Ẹ ṣé, mo dúpẹ́.
Ẹ ṣeun kábíyèsí.
So, thank you very much, sir. So, I guess we can release Kabiesi so he can go about his far more important business and we can continue the rest of what we're doing here. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Odabo.
All right.
I will start some. Please, 1 second. Quickly check your WhatsApp. I just check what's happening. Quickly check the group, please. WhatsApp.
Okay. All right.
Shemile exit.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni, a máa kàn sí lẹ́yìn ètò through bẹ́ẹ̀ni kábíyèsí, ẹ ṣeun kábíyèsí. Yes sir, bẹ́ẹ̀ni sir. Ẹ ṣeun kábíyèsí.
Right. Okay.
So all right.
One of the so guys, want to grow.
That was fantastic. Took us a while, but yeah, we had a great run. I always have to, please, you can say, hey, Oyinbo, you can say what you wanted to say, and then okay, so the reason why,
some of you were around for Onimeko's our conversation with Onimeko. You'd see that we collected some money for him. But then in retrospect, I now realized that it was disrespectful to do it in front of him. Mo dẹ̀ dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run pé kábíyèsí ṣe àgbà. Torí nígbà tí a sọ pé kábíyèsí a fẹ́ ṣe báyìí báyìí ṣe náà sọ fún mi pé ọmọ mi tí ẹ rán sí mi òun náà ní kẹ́ ẹ rán sí mi padà. So I had to go and think about that and realize that no, wọn kì í ṣe irú nǹkan bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn níwájú ọba. So as we did before, we will collect some funds. It's totally voluntary. Busui, please post your account details. We tend to use this to recognize our kábíyèsís who honor us with their presence. Kì í ṣe pé wọ́n ń béèrè lọ́wọ́ wa o, àwa la máa ń fún wọn torí pé a rí ní rí pé tó bá jẹ́ pé a lọ bá wọn ní ààfin tí wọ́n ti ń ṣe ọlá wọn, a ní ṣánpá lọ bá wọn ń bẹ̀. So a dẹ̀ tún wá rò pé well, in that same spirit, tó bá jẹ́ pé àwa náà la pè wọ́n pé kán wá kí wọ́n má ṣánpá lọ ká ṣe bí ọmọlúwàbí ṣe ń ṣe. So the account details are there. I mean, it's there. I can see Busui's account details on the chart. Tí a bá ti collect, however much we collect, we will announce it and then we will pass it on to Kábíyèsí just to thank him for his presence and for honoring our call. So going forward, whenever we bring Kábíyèsí, I will not be talking about the money in front of them because, like I said, in retrospect, I realized that what I did with Onimeko, I should have done it after Kábíyèsí left. So that's why I didn't mention it for those who are already messaging me about not gifting Kábíyèsí. So yeah, Busui, over to you.
Thank you very much. I think it's also important to mention that the last time some of us, get that and were able to, we've actually done quite a lot in the last, couple of months. We've done giveaways here, given free food. The last one, we're able to get about 300,000 naira across to him. So we're hoping we can do the same or even top that. And, looking at the trajectory of Olota and Shensi, it looks like we're going to be having these kind of things from time to time. So only just also from time to time we'll be having our royal fathers join us, and I think it's our blessing. We probably would not have the time to go to palaces to listen to them. So now that we're here, we're going to be working on ensuring that we have as many of them as possible to talk to us. So let's get used to having our royal fathers to teach us, to help us. Some of things that we probably need some clarification. So please, the account details, I think I just posted that earlier, and thank you very much. Ashiwaju Alex has also been very kind to report.
So you change your network, how? Busui, change your network. Atẹ́gùn tún ti ń fẹ́. Àbí is it just me? The last thing I heard. It's just me.
Before you start playing your game, before that game, before the game, what was that thing before the game?
I think his network is fine. His network is fine.
It's the game that is affecting
you see now, PFA also affecting
your network, not my own network.
No, his network is fine.
Now, over time again.
It's your
hero. His network is fine. His network is fine.
My network
it's
is
me.
fine. It is your game.
Anybody know it's bro to you.
Don't worry, me and PFA, we are connected. We are connected. The big network to our Dambe. Conti wants to go and support Awori Saxon. So thank you. Awori connection. So Ejo, please let's do that. Let's show some love to Kábíyèsí. And I like what Awori Saxon said the last time. I think it's supposed to keep saying it. Tabalos having so me kind of don't so once me. So I'm also our Having said that, I understand that some people had some questions that they were asking in the comment section. Some of them were muted, some of them were erased. And probably Awori Sakun did not see those things, and that's why she said we're doing well. I think we're doing well. We're better than the last time, but we still have to mute and mute the comment section, mute certain people. So we're going to open the floor now. Those questions you wanted to ask at the time, please feel free to ask those questions now. Just want to maybe spend not too long, shall we should finish this in not so long. Let me not mention a particular time, but some questions were in the comment section, and if you want to ask again, please feel free to ask those questions. Like I said, there are some things that we have to be leaving for after the interview. So, Eshel, do we have any Eze Nota? Did you really ask that question?
Osio,
I didn't see that question.
we don't have. No, such nonsense is not in Ogun State. So let me just stop you there.
I saw that question earlier.
ẹ̀yin Lagosians ní kẹ́ máa deal pẹ̀lú àwọn ìṣòro.
Ọmọ bára wọn pò mí ọ.
Kí mo miss?
You didn't miss anything now.
Do you have? Okay. Do we have any Eze in Ota? Ota
No.
is one O. It's called
Ota.
Ota.
One ti debe.
Yeah.
The only thing.
Ogun State, yo.
No. The only thing we have is those two gentlemen talking about Ota. But the very
they will also have their own community organization. Ọdẹ máa dé nǹkan tó ń bójú wò bọ́ wọn ní ìpè lórúkọ yẹn. Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
No, they do. They do. So in fact, they participate in some way in some events, not all. But even then, they come as a group with somebody acting as a spokesperson. Spokesperson. So once our somebody will the person will not come and introduce themselves as Eze Kiniko. We are not doing that in Ogun State. We don't tolerate that.
Honestly.
Lie. Oh no. We are not. Ogun State ni.
Kò tí débẹ̀ ńsìn la máa sọ Ọlọ́run má jẹ́ ó débẹ̀.
Ọlọ́run ní jẹ́ ó débẹ̀.
Ẹ ká lọ sí ìbéèrè kejì. Ìbéèrè mi tí mo tún rí ní pé èèyàn kan béèrè pé kí ni wọ́n sọ nípa Ọbàtálá àti Ọ̀tà. Wọ́n sọ wípé ó ní àwọn òrìṣà tó wà ní Ilé Ifẹ̀ tó wà ní Ọ̀tà náà. Ìkànnù wọn ní Ọbàtálá. Ìdáhùn sí ìbéèrè nìyẹn. Ìbéèrè kẹta, èèyàn kan ní Olabola said vehemently that Olofin Okufunminire is same as Atekoye. Èmi náà ti gbọ́ rí wípé Awori Saxon, this goes to you. Wọ́n ti sọ́rí mo dẹ̀ ti kàrí náà. No, mo ti gbọ́ rí mi ti kàrí. Mo ti gbọ́ rí wípé Olofin Okufunminire ní wípé ó ní oríṣiríṣi. Sọ wípé wọ́n ní ju oríkì àbínàgìjẹ kan lọ. Wọ́n yẹn jẹ́ Okufunminire yẹn kan tún jẹ́ Olofin Atekoye. A lè má lọ deep into it, but mo wò pé ara àwọn supremacy thing tá à ń sọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan náà nìyẹn lọ́rọ̀ pé kìíní. So Marika sọ̀rọ̀ sí you, then Baba Wori, and then Mr. Kotti.
So it's like this. So there is one particular thing that Olota mentioned that I really liked. He talked about migration into Awori land. So, and we have to understand that migration into the area we call Awori happen in waves and by different entities, even though everybody now take on the identity of Awori. Just very much like how, there were people in Ife before Olofin Otete, that's Odudua, but everybody now takes on the identity of Yoruba because of Odudua. Now, bí ọ̀rọ̀ Olofin Ogunfunminire ṣe rí nìyẹn. Olofin Atekoye, right? So if you read different books and different sources, The only book that I know that mentions Atekoye actually is that Iwetan mentioned in History of Lagos by John Lucy. Other accounts actually mentions Ogunfunminire, like Akintoye mentions Ogunfunminire. Kí lorúkọ ẹ̀? What's his name? John Buckley Wood mentions Ogunfunminire, right? So personally, I do not believe that they are one and the same individual, because if they were, Olofin Ogunfunminire's personage is so significant and important that Lagos State, for example, will not go and erect a full statue and just name it Atekoye, leaving out Ogunfunminire. Like, how many of you have heard of Atekoye? Yeah? Until Keto wa gbọ́ Ogunfunminire. So, sometimes we need to kind of draw inferences. Can people hear me? Because Busu is okay. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Please stop throwing jabs at my network.
So sometimes we have to láti máa fi ọgbọ́n orí gbé àwọn nǹkan tí àwọn èèyàn bá ń ṣe, because wọn ò fẹ́ sọ síta, torí tí wọ́n bá sọ síta it will degenerate into all kinds of nonsense, and they don't want to do that. So it is their body language that you have to read. So for me, I read the body language of Lagos State government. Like this statue of Atekoye was only done in 2017. And I think at the time, they actually commissioned a history of Lagos State. At the time, I've been searching for the book. I think a book came out of it. I've not been able to get it. But the point I'm trying to make is that Olofin Atekoye's Olofin Ogunfunminire's personage is so significant and so big in Awori history that if he was also Atekoye, tí wọ́n máa ṣe eré ẹ̀, wọ́n ní lo ìnagijẹ that is unknown. It will be his most, his name that is most widely known. Ó dàbí pé kéèyàn ṣe eré Odùduwà ń sìn, kó wá má pè ní Odùduwà, kó pè ní Ọ̀tẹ̀tẹ̀. How many people know Ọ̀tẹ̀tẹ̀? If you are not, in fact, if you are even reading history books, if you are reading history books, ìwé tó máa kà kó tó pàdé Olófin Ọ̀tẹ̀tẹ̀ yẹn, wàá ti kà, I don't know how many volumes you would have read. But Odùduwà, so because Odùduwà is the identity by which, the named identity of this person, any statue you will see it, so the one you see in Ife, you see in Benin Republic, in Cuba, it's all named Odùduwà, not because they don't know him as Ọ̀tẹ̀tẹ̀, but because they want people to understand and know that this thing symbolizes the personage of Odùduwà. So I applied the same thinking to the statue of Atekoye and Ogunfunminire. I do not believe that, personally, I do not believe that they are the same individual, even though Ogunfunminire did all of the wonderful things that he did. So, yeah. Yes. So let me move from the room.
So I'm going to come up with another question. Enter then 7 doors.
I'll come
back to another question. By the way, sorry. By the way, Baba Wori, please hold on. By the way, I always asking just one question. Then this question also goes to Baba Wori and Koti. Is it incorrect to say that the progenitor of the Awori people is indeed Olofin Ogunfunminire?
I don't believe so. It's not wrong.
Awori Saxon.
So I don't believe so. And the reason why I don't believe so,
okay,
it's not wrong.
Baba Wori, okay.
So on this subject, right?
Okay.
It's got my attention recently, and I've been personally, doing some work where I've painstakingly gone to some of these palaces, right? For example, I've visited the Olofin Isheri.
Baba Wori.
Yeah.
Answer. Can't too long.
Okay.
Oh,
You are
sorry.
mute.
Sorry. I was hearing the background. No, I muted him because background noise. I'm talking to about worry. All right, can go on now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Check what me see.
Mr. Courtney, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Oh, yeah. I also want to
Yes,
say well
please.
done,
Yes.
guys. Wonderful job and all. Yeah. So what I will answer to that question, Abusu, is this:
Yes.
it can actually be a complicated and somewhat politically charged question. So what I would say is, academically, we cannot have an absolutist approach. So Yawa Wuri Saxon says Ogunfunminiri is a very significant figure in the Awori story, and nobody can debate that. And I like how Olota put it: different waves of migration, this, that. He was very nuanced in his submission, you know. So, nǹkan tẹ́mi kọ́ máa sọ ni pé Ọlọ́fin Ògúnfúnminíyè is a significant personage in the Awori story that all Aworis acknowledge. That is how I would answer that question. I don't know if Baba Awori wants to still go forward on his own trajectory.
Yeah, I will. And the reason why I wanted to do this is so that people can understand I will call it the Awori nation as it were, right? So if you listen very well to Olota, right, you will hear him talk about pre-arrival. In fact, he will talk about what was happening in Ota at the beginning when we are talking of the likes of Ife, right? So, and he paid attention to that migration pattern. Because if you go to most of the ancient Awori kingdom, the story is similar. You will notice from the evidence you see on ground that there are migration patterns, but there was also a consolidation. So a group of people do not consolidate from the day they start a migration, right? Sometimes they will migrate. It might be the same concept. It might be independent migration. Then after a while, all of them will now consolidate. I believe that consolidation happened at about the time of Baba Ogunfunminire, because there was something significant about his own pattern, right? But there were migration patterns before him, with him, and after him. But the concept of that migration pattern is so alike, and the people they met or the language is the same. But one thing we can take out of this is this, right? Irrespective of the path at which each of these Aworis migrated, you hear Olota says, we are one. There's no here or there. In fact, before we got other people who are not that flock, before we started having visitors, we have already consolidated. We have that distinct identity. And you can hear Olota talk about, even it was later on that we first have the presence of Bini. So one thing we would tell you is this: there's no Bini part in our migration pattern. Absolutely none. Awori, irrespective of our migration pattern, before the arrival of these external forces, which will put us around 1400 when the Portuguese came, that consolidation has already happened. It has been agreed upon in the whole kingdom. Because when you go to Akbar, I've been trying to see if I can actually get Al-Akbar, but it's going to be a little bit of work, right? If you go to Akbar, for example, you see the same and hear the same thing. They have a migration pattern, is unique, is distinct, but is Awori. You go to Adodo, they have their migration pattern, is unique, is distinct, is Awori. Ota, Isheri, Ido, but all of them under Ogunfunminire, they have that umbrella, which is Awori. I don't know if that helps with solving that complications.
All right. I think it does help, and maybe you and Mr. Kosi could also just add to the fact that it would. Okay, the question I asked, like, would it be incorrect to say that Ogunfunminire is indeed the progenitor of the Awori people?
So Busui, let me quickly say something. So
Okay.
let us not pretend amongst ourselves. Let us not pretend that there is no politics amongst our traditional rulers. There is very heavy and intense politics among them. And sometimes that politics often influence the things they say publicly. Now, with regards to this story of whose identity created, quote and unquote, their Awori identity, I think we're going to have to understand, or maybe we're going to have to take it for what it is as we know it today. And the reason why I say that is this. So, for example, Busu, you'll be able to relate very well with this. So it's a bit like how Olugbo would often say publicly, pé òun lòun nífẹ̀ẹ́, and he should be the head of all Yoruba kings because òun ni ọba àwọn ancestors tiẹ̀ ni ó ní Ifẹ̀, àwọn olóyè Ògbómọ̀kún, nǹkan, all those kind of stories.
And just to be, sorry, I always ask on, now that you just mentioned it, I've never said it on Twitter, on TikTok, but let me just quickly say that there was no Oni until Oduduwa.
Exactly.
And that the place that was occupied by his own people was not even the entirety of Ife. It was a place, and nobody can deny their existence in Ife, but they did not rule. They did not rule even the Ilu, let alone the entire place called Ife. They were not even part of the 13 settlements. They were on their own. And as far as Weekly put it out there, but one day we're going to have that session to talk about all the things that he says. But you can continue, please.
Yeah. So it is in the same vein and the same breath that this thing we call Awori, this Awori identity, is tied to Olofin Ogunfunminire, whether you like it or not. So if you are asking someone like me, I will tell you that, yes, I understand that there were people before Olofin Ogunfunminire got there, and many people came after him. But that thing we call the Awori identity, he is tied to him. It's about him. So Olota mentioned lẹ́ẹ̀kan pé oríṣiríṣi àwo olórí. But how many Awo stories do you know aside from Ogunfunminire's? How many do you know?
He's the only one that we know.
He's the only one we know. And all the stations, tí Awo ti dúró, and where people settled, gbogbo are documented. So, Shari, ẹ má jẹ́ ká máa kini ká máa sọ pé because some people have been fine. I get that and I understand that. In fact, there are people who will tell you that even Awori gan àwa gan bá àwọn èèyàn kan bẹ́ẹ̀ ni. Have you heard that before?
Which is and the same thing. Which is understandable because it's the same story in other Yoruba places.
So you will be shocked because Yoruba history and the traditions around the palace of Oni actually recognizes these people. The Ore Otumoba, apparently they were the first settlers. Like Ibe, this area, they were the first to be there. But they moved inward, they migrated straight into the interlands over time. So when we're talking about these things, I really would appreciate if people think about it in terms of the timeline. Some of this stuff, we're talking about stuff that happened over 300 years, 500 years. And we want to collapse it into something that happened within a year or within 3 months. The fundamental facts that I will always insist on, every time I hear this thing, I always ask them, yes, you guys migrated. Yes, you probably had your own Awo. Gbogbo Yoruba land, tabatin saw history Awo, the only Awo story that everybody knows, that the Awori identity, Awo tori is tied to that man, Ogunfunminire. So there's no way, in fact, without him, Kosi Awori identity, you will call yourself something else. If you remove him from the equation, you will not call yourself Aworis. Because it is on Awo Tori, Sibi Tori si, right? Onlo, is what gave birth to that identity. And then as other people came in order to be part of what you would call the majority of, the people of the day, Other people, as they came, they assimilated into it and took on that identity as well. In fact, a fantastic example I can give you now is my nickname here. My nickname here is Awori Saxon. If you ask me what it means, I will tell you. But it's me merging two identities because I sort of feel like, okay, maybe I'm a bit of both of this. So as other people came in, that Awori identity that's already been established, they kind of locked on into it. And those that they met there, seeing that, okay, oh, this thing is big, they also locked on into it, just like Odudua. But, today, Lenny, there are plenty, kí la máa pè wọ́n? Ṣé ọba náà ni máa pè wọ́n? Ọba in other places that have existed before Odudua emerged as Oni. And one way or another, the Yoruba identity, even though that identity already existed, but what we now call the community of practice that make us see all of ourselves as one, consolidated under, and it's tied to that individual Odudua. So, yeah.
Thank you. Let me quickly say something. I just want to address people in the comment section. Hey, Joe, sorry. No, you don't just hear them for hearing's sake. If you want to collect data about a town, so when someone says something like, somebody said traditional leaders aren't historians, we can just hear them for hearing's sake. That's actually disrespectful. So the historians, what the historians will do is they will collect data from the traditional rulers themselves, from the people around there, from the priests, from different communities. Then they'll get the songs, they'll get the oriki, they'll put everything together. We don't listen to them for hearing. We don't hear them for hearing's sake. What I always say to people, so that we don't sound disrespectful, is that they are just like Ifa itself. They are a source. The traditional rulers are also a source of history, but they are not the source. Just like Ifa is not the source, the gig is not the source, that one is not the source, but they are all sources. So we cannot say once you hear from the king, don't hear from any other person. That will not help us. We cannot say once we read this particular thing, once we hear a particular Odu, don't hear anything else. That will not help us. But every single one of them have a role they play. Now, as a role they play, every single one of them has a role that they play. Now, the point is that if this particular person, if the Oba says some things, ẹ máa fi kún nǹkan mi tẹ́bá tún mú ní orí ibẹ̀ yẹn ẹ máa kó gbogbo ẹ̀ pọ̀. Boy, they say historians, because the historians you are saying also got it from one of the sources of the historian is the palace. So the palace is also part of it. So let's not say we hear them for hearing's sake. I don't know where you got that from, but the point is that kan lè gbé gbogbo ọ̀rọ̀ ìtàn lé nǹkan tá a fi ń bá sọ, ṣùgbọ́n ìyẹn ò túmọ̀ sí pé ká kó iyán àfin kéré. So a máa mú yẹn, a máa mú mi, a máa jàn pọ̀ láti máa mọ ohun tó jẹ́ òdodo ọ̀rọ̀. But they also have a role to play in giving us the history that we require, right? Don't forget also that the palace also has our own historians, palace historians, the court historians themselves, and they also teach in turn. They teach the king what the history is.
Mr. Abusoye.
Hey, Joe, I'm going.
Thank you very much, Awori Saxon, for that clarification. And I think I share the same school of thought. Reason being that, as you saw, if there are things we're not clear about, if there are things we can further discuss, when our royal fathers are gone, and we can ponder on those, within ourselves. And I think that's how things should be done. Looking at, I remember Abawori asked me a question when Kabesi was here. Abawori said he was asking if I've heard what Kabesi said about the people of Yewa. Is Mr. Busui there?
No, and about the language per se, I was just basically.
Okay. In terms of proximity and closeness.
No, when he said, you people say Uboli, just the language. Have you heard that language, there's that connectivity, right?
Yeah.
That
in fact, within ourselves in Yewa, there is something we promote so much, and that is the Kitigbe factor. We know, I mean, it's more, I think the origin is, we agree the origin is Awori. Our own greeting pattern, mainly in the old Egbado, is Ekuombel, Ani Ekuombel, but if you look at that's Egbado, Yewa, and Ekuombel, that's them greeting you, just like Kitigbeo. So it is more of the proximity of these places over time, and the fact that wọ́n jọ máa pàdé lọ́jà, wọ́n jọ máa ṣòwò pọ̀, wọ́n á jọ ṣàgbẹ̀, wọ́n á jọ ṣe nǹkan kan, gbogbo à ń ṣe àárò, à ń ṣe ọ̀wẹ̀, à ń ṣe nǹkan kan tá a máa ń sọ yẹn, wọ́n jọ máa ṣàwọn kinní yẹn pọ̀. You understand? When people live together for a decent amount of time, you like it or not, you will find similarities in the way they do things. You will find similarities in what they eat, the clothes they wear, the festivities they celebrate, and so on. So, for me, I mean, the other quick base by history when the Ilaros were migrating down, they stopped at Ota. Today will be the first time I'm hearing that. I've not seen it anywhere. I've not read it. Even our forefathers have not relayed such. But Kabesi said it's something I can work on. I can research it and see if there is to see to what level, that is correct. The history of Ilaro that I know is that as against most people of Yoruba descent coming from Ife, the Ilaros actually migrated from Oyole. That's where the Ilaro people come from. And I think I once said a story here. Oh yeah, Mr. Busu, you remember when Dustman came up? The day Dustman came up and called me. So
yes,
the history is that when the Daume were terrorizing the Laro people, they sent a message to Oyole, and the people of Oyole, the leaders of Oyole, sent a warrior in the person of Orono back to them in Ilaro to help them. And it was that Orono that was kept in his quarters and told them not to call him out unless they have problems. Deja, I remember I used the term Deja. They wanted to check his potency. So àwọn Dàmẹ́tì dé wọ́n ti ń jà, òun kàn bọ́ síta, ó kàn bẹ́ orí wọn lọ ni. Ó ti wá bẹ́ orí lọ, ó kàn àgbé ìkànnà àwọn orí yẹn wá wo ìlà tó wà lẹ́ẹ̀kẹ́, ó rí pé ìlà Ọ̀yọ́ yẹn ló jọ wà lẹ́ẹ̀kẹ́ àwọn. You understand? And then he was angry. Ló fi lọ bínú wọlẹ̀ pátápátá. So those are the differences we will see in history.
So PFA.
Yeah.
Before you move too far away.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that this story that you just related?
Mm-hmm.
Quite unique, Silaro. I can give you
exactly.
Three other.
Ibani similar story.
Because those people in those days, wọ́n ní agbára lóríṣiríṣi. You understand? Wọ́n ní ìmí àlérí wípé ìmí tí ó ti rìn débi ó ti débi wípé òun ò ní wọnú ilẹ̀ sùn. I think we've had something like that in Yoruba land. Wípé òun ò ní kú bí normal.
Sorry, PFA.
Yeah.
PFA.
Yes, sir.
Sherry, I think it was on Saturday, I did a session here where I mentioned the Ota. I already said what I'm talking about. The process of becoming Ota in Yoruba is stone. The Ota, so it was something that started in Ife and was exported to other parts of Europe. Well, according to Farmer Ademakiwa, the Ota is actually something they say.
It's in Sabumi's book as well.
Mm-hmm.
You will find it. This
It's in
video,
it's
you
in
will find it.
book as well.
It's in Fabumi's Ife Shrines.
Sherry,
Ajagmole, thank you. So the same
is
story. And Lubua, Owu, Oromiyan, Ife. In fact, you know what? Let me even shock you. Eastern Yoruba land, the same thing applies to Ajalorun.
There you go.
Betokuni 19 something God has the same story.
There you go. So the history of
network, I think there's a lag because you're not hearing me. I think there's a lag, Abby.
Going on.
You are lagging. Busuyi, just change your network while we talk.
I'm going to
Go and change
just
your
1
network
second.
again.
Because I'm going to network. Just continue. I'll come back in.
Okay.
Maybe something is wrong with Busuyi then. If not the Busuyi network. We have Busuyi launch network. Busuyi.
I'm sure he's fine. So,
okay.
All right. So what I was
Okay, go on.
Shang Bomi.
I'm going.
No, you
Yeah,
my Sherry or daughter. It's a fantastic way of explaining natural events. The natural event is actually death. The fantastic way to make it look like is when they say the person has daughter. Oh, daughter, but what really happens, that's a job, then we pay rich man. Once we get older, they would commission an artist. That artist will be something more
Go to Packers or Kemi Negani.
No, Busuyi don't affect network. It's a network don't affect Busuyi.
Okay.
So come on, Sorolo.
Now I change the
flying to Wakpaju. Flying were too hot. So anyway, like we are saying, right? These are each of the many towns to war of Velo. They have some kind of stories, right? But regardless of what we say about Olota of Ota, the rest, right? We have to reiterate the fact that Bubuwa, I agree, when we are all Yoruba, we are all from Ife. I have to say that over and over, that people can know. You see, there was no introduction of any Eastern, what have you. Everything happens within the Aguri and Ife.
Smart box, yeah. All right.
I think go on, Baba.
In academic discourse, I would encourage us to shy away from taking absolutist positions, because there will be many perspectives, many positions, on these types of issues. The concept of ethnogenesis is a complicated and a complex one. To Jenkwe, if we take absolutist positions, it now becomes a very circular argument. What you will find happening is, if one person is saying this is the way it is, another person is saying this is the way it is, all parties concerned, while might argue, they won't even be countering each other. They will just be holding their positions. Yeah.
Loud and clear.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah. So only can look at hold the position to Jenkwe Koche one easy point of intersection. So I would say, rather than having absolutist positions, I just take it as these are the different accounts of this story, and we make sense of it, and we move on. Yeah, come. To say that why don't listen to our traditional rulers for listening's sake, I think that's quite on Olota that came, because Olota was very careful in his submissions. He tried to make submissions academically. I would say not even as a monarch. He tried to be quite academically nuanced in his submissions. Well, so Olota, so Musobe, what does I can look into it. Opinion on he put caveats left, right,
Mr.
and
Kotse.
center. Yeah. Check, Bobby.
So you are very you are very correct though, but Sherry Lori, and I'm going to just say it this way, Lori Oro Ogufuminire, his position was
No,
actually
no,
quite clear. It wasn't as diplomatic on that
no.
matter. And I think
Hold on,
I want you okay, one boy.
and it also pay while listening
One
to Obas for listening sake. In fact, make sure I lag. Yeah, okay.
No, I'm
I
here.
feel there's miscommunication because of the lagging.
No, Busui in lag, but Koti, we are hearing you. Go for it. When you are
No,
done,
because
No,
Busui
it's
can
not
come.
about. Hold on.
He's
Baba
responding
Wori,
to something.
Baba Wori, just hold on. It's not about. Listen, I'm saying something is responding to me. You are saying you should just continue. I can hear you, and I hope you
Yeah.
heard what I was saying.
Yeah, no.
Did
So
you hear
I'm
what I
saying
said?
I was talking about the person that said we're listening to Obas for
What
listening
that
sake.
one lag, Busui, sir? You are lagging for real.
Okay. Baba Wori, Koti
Yeah.
hears me. We are communicating. You are the one lagging.
Okay. So Busi, can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay. So I need to give you 3 seconds to respond.
Okay. So what do you want me to
Okay, good.
respond to?
Yeah. No. I didn't want you to respond to anything. I was saying that the person that said we're listening to Obas for listening sake, I think is quite unfair to the Olota, because the
Yeah,
Olota,
I agree.
he tried to be quite academic in his submissions. He didn't say because I'm Olota and this is it. The one he did not know, he said he does not know. Then once he had the position on, he would tell you, this is what I was taught, this is what I heard, this is what he didn't just put things down like bam bim, and that is the
So,
final authority.
Mr. Kwesi, so that's what I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to tell you, that
Mm.
there were cases when the Olota did what you're saying, and there were
Yeah.
cases where it was emphatic. One of the cases
Okay.
where it was emphatic is the one that has to do with ethnogenesis. And one of the things he
Yeah.
mentioned when he came to Ogufumne was the fact, and it was very, I like what he did, to be fair. He was asserting their own ethnogenesis, basically to say, you know what, we're one of the oldest Yoruba groups. We've been around since Ife and Ado, and we're not a recent skinny. And then he went all the way to link it to what the Alafin told him. And so it was when he was doing all of that, and then again, I understand the politics and everything. It wasn't being, unnecessarily controversial or anything, but that's their own stance. But there are, of course, there'll be points of divergence, and one of those things is the part of Ogunfunminire. When you assert that, and interestingly, Awori Saxon actually agrees with him on that particular point when he said that Olofin Atekoye is a different persona, is a different personage, like he's a different person. They actually agree on that particular point, but he was quite emphatic about that. And I think that's where the cookie begins to crumble. Once they are different, and you harp on the fact that there's a different person there's a different person there, and I was like, was it Okpelu? I was like, there's another Olofin there. When you use the word Olofin, it's actually a very intentional phrase to use. Like there was a different Olofin there before he got there, and then later it became an Olofin as well. Those things actually do have historical consequences, especially for other people. Though you may share the same identity, but from other spaces, they now begin to ask questions like, wait, is he really the person or is he not the person? And that's why we were trying to manage it to say, oh, okay, so who exactly do you now call the progenitor of the people? Once you begin to say things like, in your Konwabai, is what people say a lot about Tifa, so I'm used to it. Or you hear things like, how come the point is not that there were no people there before it got there. Ota is it's a very, very ancient space. And you mentioned that you can't compare Ota to Ibadan. You can never compare Ota to Ibadan. However, it's not the longevity of the space. It's about the personality of the headman, so to speak. Who exactly do you call the progenitor of the people? Oduduwa is not the progenitor of Yoruba people because he was the one who founded Ile-Ife. Ife existed before him, but then he got there, did certain things that made us now look up to him that way. So if we use that for Ife, and we all agree it's the same thing. When I go to another place and you're hearing like there will be people there, of course there will be people there. Of course he met people there. But does that change the fact that he is considered as the progenitor of the people of this new identity? I don't know if you got what I'm saying, Mr. Koti. I think
Yeah,
that's
no,
where
no.
the divergence.
I wasn't going to go into that. I wasn't going to even touch. I'm not willing to touch
That
that
was the capability.
but, even with a long spoon, because it's very, you know.
Yeah,
So may I
political,
just say,
actually.
yeah. So may I just say,
Meanwhile, Mr. Koti, you know the
yeah,
Obadodo.
yeah,
Have you heard him
yes.
speak on their own position?
So why are you trying to drag me to where I don't want to go?
So, you know,
kí ni wàhálà tó fẹ́ dá sílẹ̀ báyìí rọ̀lẹ́ yìí?
Busi actually, Busi, hold on.
We are going to close.
Hold
We
on,
are going to
Busi.
close in 10 minutes. We are going to close in 10 minutes. Kí
Okay,
wàhálà má bàa
yeah.
Hold
ṣẹlẹ̀.
on,
Ó
no,
pẹ́ ju aago
Busi.
mẹ́fà.
Oh, Mogodo Shele.
Baba will
Let
hear,
me
Baba
see.
just land so I
Wait, let
can
me
now.
see this, right? It's possible that I actually bring this to Olofis here, right? I can't announce it yet, but I've been buzzing them, right? Because it's important that people hear from each of these monarchs. Since Olota has spoken, right? I think it would just be fair for each of these Olofin, like Olofin Ogunfuminire and Olofin Adodo, right? And you are right. You will hear positions. But one thing you will not hear from them is that they are not Awori. They all
Of
consolidate
course.
around that identity.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
exactly. And that consolidation
Absolutely.
is Ife. It's not Bini. Mutuma Sore is Ife.
Yes.
So,
Yes. And to also remind us when someone said or he mentioned Orumila, let me say this. For a lot of people, they probably haven't heard of the how old Ota is. That's why he said Aleko Iyan Afinkere and say they're not really a source. They are also a source, just like other sources. It's just that it's not everything you hear. That you just start running. For instance, I hearing dates. Something happened, can you concentrate? You may not be able to run with it, but this is what I'm going to say. Kato Jekelo mi sọ̀rọ̀. Ṣé rí ìgbà tá a máa ń sọ̀rọ̀ dispersal kúrò ní. Ẹ ti parí ni. No, please.
No.
No, it's fine. Okay.
Okay.
Let me
Yeah,
just 30 seconds. When you do have the
yeah.
dispersal, they will be like the first set of people to populate on different Yoruba spaces. That is okay. Àwọn tó wá láti Ifẹ̀ tó lọ àwọn ibì kan, we say it over and over again. A lot of spaces they met Yoruba people there. They met people there, and those people happen to be their own Yoruba people as well. Kì í ṣe pé bóyá, in most cases they met people there, but that doesn't change the fact that Thomas or Project Daroko. Mr. Koti, I apologize that you've not been allowed to finish. Please go on now.
Yeah. That's fine. So the crux of my position was that, you see, in these things, especially when it's there are political implications, we can't be absolutist. They're going to have very many versions, many positions, such that when one person has one position, the other person has the other position, there won't be any point of intersection. They won't be opposing each other. One person will be saying A, B, C, the other person will be saying X, Y, Z. Like, you can't even say, okay, I get it. You get what I'm saying? So me, I avoid those positions. What I just try to take out of it is, I just take the merits of the ABC argument, what I can take out of it, and the XYZ arguments. So for instance, Olota is the king of Ota. The value I'll get from his submissions are the Ota stories. For people now, they'll be hearing about how old Ota is for the first time. Ogunfuminire, no Ogunfuminire, supremacy, no supremacy. It doesn't take away anything from that story. You get what I'm saying? Of Ota. Oh, it's this old, that. Right? So that's what I'm saying, that let's just take the value. Politics will always be there, differing positions. Now, if somebody that comes and says, no, Ota is not that old. We can be having that conversation. It has nothing to do with who is progenitor of Awori or not Awori, or. So we can take things in piecemeal, and those who have political interests, they can be fighting things out politically. But here, from an academic perspective, let's just take what we learn from each position. That's my own thing.
So I get what you're saying, and you're right. I think the only flip side is that there's no other position, and what people are presenting now is the other position. So what Awori Saxon said, or what Awori said, is not necessarily trying to contradict what Kabisi said, just to provide that there's another, like Otunin commit so that way. So if you say, okay, we have different versions. So, for instance, now, if we share paternity and you have a particular idea of what we share and you say your bit, while you're saying it as the king, nobody can say, I want to have my own opinion. No, we don't care about your opinion in that moment. But after that conversation, those people that come from other parts of what we share also have the right to now say, you don't come by it not from a place of trying to disprove what Kabesi has said, but just to also make it clear that we also have a different opinion. Like I was saying, I didn't go into it intentionally. When Onimeko came, I was talking about show passer. That is not the Ife story. As a matter of fact, that is not what you're going to find in Yoruba history books. And I have read about show passer. What he said is totally different. Did I speak when he was speaking? No. Am I even telling you the version now? No. But that's my choice. I just felt like he was going to talk about what united them, how Olubishe was able to settle the fight with Alaketu. And for me, that is good enough. But in this particular case, if people want to provide another perspective without necessarily being combative or trying to be disruptive, I think it's fair. So, for instance, Olabola has said a number of times that Okoye is the same person as Ogunfunminere. Now, that means something to some people. Now, we also heard today that there are different personalities. Those details may seem like nothing, but it could actually be EBT problem till a while. But that's not. But at the end of the day, what we are not going to take away from this is the fact that we are not Yoruba, or that these people are from Benin or from Igbo. We are all Yoruba people. We've been existing for thousands of years. We just have small little issues to sort out, which is what you find in many families. It does not change our identity. But also, we're not going to dwell on it in order to now exacerbate whatever divisions or political issues that exist now. So we're not going to go that far. But I think it's also fair to have that conversation. But I like what you guys have done so far today. You've been brilliant in your submissions. Olabola is there, so I probably maybe just ask him his own idea of who Atekoye and Olota of Ota is. I think that may be different from our Awori's accents, but we're here for it.
So, Olota of Ota is the same person as Olota of Ota. That's the first thing we have to be clear about. So, when people say they are a different person, I think those history are too late. The children of Matekoye, they know themselves, and they always refer back to Isheri. People have their own differences. So sometimes, this is a worry thing. It's supremacy thing. And I think Olota is playing into. You might not know about this one. A new narrative, on island people that they are trying to cook up for their own political agenda. So I think he bought into it without realizing it. 1 second.
When people say things like bring an Ifa priest, please, that's not a very good way of talking. If I'm having a conversation with you on history and you tell me bring a pastor, or I'm talking about Jewish, you say bring a rabbi. Anybody can call themselves a rabbi. Anybody can call themselves an Ifa priest. You have to have somebody that we know that we can trust, not, I don't know, like you guys say this thing a lot. You're talking, say bring Ifa priest, bring Ifa priest. Do I take Ifa priest seriously? Absolutely. Do I read their works? Absolutely. Do I read every Ifa priest work? Absolutely not. I think Ifa priest or pastor or alpha or bishop does not mean that what you are saying is correct. So, John Torlon, if you are going to talk about Ifa priest, let's mention a particular one that we trust. Or God be muted, Jerry.
So, Bushi, I know you have to.
Hold on. Someone is writing the comment section. Orumila is the only historian. Go and meet him. I will tell you the history.
Yeah,
please finish.
Okay. The same person. It's just different parts of Lagos State in general. Not even Lagos State. Different parts call him different names. If you go to some parts, Ogunfunminere Lemagbo, maybe Sherry parts. If you come to the island, Atekoye Lemagbo, Abolofin Ajayi, or Awugunjoye, and so on and so forth. So what you would do is this person, one person cannot say. In fact, the people who are trying to tell the story of Olofin Atekoye, those who are trying to tell the story have nothing to do with him. Guess who those people are? on a royal house. Maybe not, maybe somehow something to do with him, but one kì í ṣe ọmọ ẹ̀.
Yeah, first of all,
But ó lọ́wọ́ ọmọ wọn ìdẹ́jọ́. They will tell you gbogbo àwọn family yẹn, àwọn family Aromire family, Ojora family, Elegushi family, they know their father. They related their story back to Isheri. I don't know this man well. Island, and people are buying into it. I think before we jump on narratives, can investigate kill on people achieve before we help them popularize it. In this part of the world, when people say a new thing, I'll push a lot. So I don't know why Olota bought their story, those people's story. I don't know why, but I think he didn't see what they are doing. He probably have his own other reasons why he agree with them. Maybe he doesn't want the just to come from a Sherry. Probably that's why. But he doesn't see the far-reaching consequences. But to be fair, because that the Idejos are saying their father is from that Isheri place and there is no other person. Except you are saying there is another Atekoyi that came from Isheri who is a descendant of Ogunfunminiri, if you are saying that. But that's not even the case. I've actually personally investigated the matter myself long before this issue of Atekoyi is different from Ogunfunminiri. Before it came up, I thought before people sent people to Ireland myself. Apart from what I have read, though, let me now go to Ireland myself. Let me go and investigate it. And the result came back. In fact, before getting to Timoron Lokoto deep at the result, I got to find the family again. I found more evidence that it's the same person. And when that person came, he told me only the same person, you know. Then months later, or be a year later, conference, they started saying nonsense again for their own reason. So in Yelakoko, EKG. I know you're in a hurry. About the ancient Kinekon, I think you touched on it in a way. Most Yoruba towns are ancient. Kinekon has been existing in the days of Oromila, and if I said Oromila has been existing, Sibabala from Kinekon, the Ifa did not put a date when they born Oromila, except we are talking about the archetypal spirits, Oromila, Towalaton. But if we are talking about the Babalao that was going around, well, it's a figure like every other classical figure. In fact, the Onigbogi thing, I don't know how old they think Olugbogi is. If what we are trying to do is to push our civilization as far back as possible, Olugbogi is not the argument. Olugbogi is a 1500 figure. What about that for 1500 figure? So all these places, we've discussed this history of Yoruba. People have been there. The idea that we're discussing about Ogunfunminiri is just a leader of an Ife group. Check me.
Yes.
A leader of an Ife group, Ogunfunminiri. If he comes to Isheri, there is settlement in Isheri that he met there. Historians are clear about that. If he come to Ido, there is a settlement in Ido that he met there. If his children went to Ota, there is settlement in Ota that he met there. What we are only saying, the Olofin of Isheri is a king of that Ife group. The Olota himself, if Olota says Ota has been existing, Olota is not a king of an ancient people that has been there before the Ife group. He himself is the descendant of that Ife group that just came. So we should be clear about that. So Olota can say, oh, Iluyeti exists, just like Isheri too, if he knows his history, just like Ido too, if they know their history. Iluyeti Wambe. But we are saying the rulers, these guys that are rulers, the Olota of Ota Ido, the Olofin of Isheri, the Olota of Ota, they are from the lineages of that Ife group that came, not a descendant of a group of people that have been there in those places since classical times. So let's be clear on that. The position of Isheri in Awori history is like the position of Ife in Yoruba history. Isheri Olofin is not necessarily but it's that central place where the patriarch, Ogunfunminiri is the patriarch of the Awori. Is not necessarily is the oldest person. There are people in his company to jẹ́ pé wọn kì í ṣe ọmọ, wọn kì í ṣe bí follower, they are like compeers. I can't remember the name of that person. mi ò mọ̀
Some of
bóyá
our
can compare, I don't know, but on what I can, because people will start saying new things to give themselves very ancient. So I don't give credence to new ones that people are just saying today. I give more credence to what people have said long ago before they realize any political need to manipulate things. So, but Agbopo or guys were in his company who were like a compare to him. But whether they were compare, whether they were his children, whether they were his wives, he was the leader of that group that seemed to be known. And when they say somebody is a father, it doesn't have to always be biological. So these things, I think they are very easy to see if we look at it from the lens of Oduduwa. Oduduwa came to Ile-Ife, somebody can come out and say, never, I am more, but we are just saying he came at a time where he was a central figure. Never, people have been living before Gufumini was born. Are you saying no? We know people who were in Isheri, people were in Ota, people were in Ido, we know. We are just saying he came, is the central figure, and that Ife monarchy stems from that Isheri. So Olota is of that Ife dynasty, not of the oldest encrusted settlements. Though Olota Tele, he was the descendant, the lineage of that Ife one that came. And the same thing with the Olofin Isheri too. He cannot claim a member of the old ancient settlements that were around the Isheri. And the same thing with the Oloto Nido. He doesn't claim to be a member of the old ancient kingdom on Ido Island. He was part of the Ife, was a descendant. So I thought I should put that down. So my brother said,
Oh, I think you just got a call.
But yeah. Somebody said me something on Telegram. Obagodo. Moti Cabo, I'm not sure, but I'll just address it. If I'm online, you can help me. If I'm in line with, you can help me, type it down. So, also, Olobela said something one day. So I think there's an argument in the comments.
I think you already asked. No. So somebody said in the comment section that Olobela said when kings are not historians, that we just listen to them for listening sake. And I said that's disrespectful. You don't take everything they say on face value and go by everything they say, but they're a veritable source. It's not that here.
Yeah, so I'm not being disrespectful. So I'm not being disrespectful.
You know what I'm saying? Somebody said we'll only hear them for hearing sake.
And so hearing sake, maybe for hearing sake. So what we mean, I think it's clear. So the first part is clear. Kings are not historians. I think we would.
Of course, they are not.
Pretty much all agree with that. So what do we do with their information? I said that from the lens of if they are wrong, it's not like don't take them serious or don't listen to them angle. If what they say turns out to be wrong, if what they say turns out to be wrong, don't hold it too much on them.
Interestingly, I don't even know who said that to you, but what I said, let me just repeat what I said. Someone said kings are not historians. Olabola told us that kings are not historians, and we just hear them for hearing sake. And I said, the point is, even the historians get data from the palaces, but the palace is not the only source of history. In other words, it's the same thing that when people say that if you want to know Yoruba history, it must be Ifa. I said that Ifa is a source of history, just like the palace is a source of history. You have to now compare. Now, let's say you don't know what the history is. You listen to all of them, and then you can now make up your mind based on data that's available to you. But not to say that, number one, you cannot say that once you hear from the king, that's it. Of course, that's not it, because like we said earlier, there's some things that Kabesi said today that may be different from. Just like I said also that Oba Imeko said some things that is different from the Ife account. So I know that one I'm going to take on face value. However, that's not to say that everything he's saying, I just say I'm hearing it for hearing sake. Some of the things he say, you compare with other sources, you put everything together, and then you can at least have an idea what the truth is. But to just, flippantly say, and again, this is not you talking, this is all somebody typed. Yeah, the person said you should just hear them for hearing sake. I'm like, no.
Yeah, so I think I should get an opportunity to clarify that part. So
but you're not the one who said it now.
No, I know. So any will type for me. He sent me a screenshot, and I saw back and forth in the comments about what Olabola said and what he did not say. So since Olabola is here, I was just thinking maybe I should just say what I said.
Can we make it very fast? Because I need to go. But it's fine. It's fine. Let's just make it fast because I want to close at 6 o'clock.
I think the point is made. I think the point is made already. Yeah, thanks.
No. Don't be like that. Don't be like that. I'm not saying you should not speak. I'm saying that the time Tilo. So if you want, just make it fast. But the point is, again, is actually what the person said.
So not the point is clear at this point. What guys? So it's just a misconception.
No. Please, no. Take a while to explain. I don't want you to. I don't want you to end like this.
The point I'm making is this. The point I'm making, Nipi, they are not historians. In fact, they are not historians.
Absolutely.
It's not even in a different sense. They are not. You can get some things from them because they are agbalagba. They must have heard some things. They must have, like anybody. Like you can get information from anybody. I can go and meet an Olorebi to ask him for history. It doesn't mean the Olorebi is a historian. So that when the Olorebi now leave the job of being a source and now doing the job of historian to narrate the history, the Olorebi ba a mistake. Maybe you don't want to hold it too much on the Olorebi. That's the whole point of that information. So we must recognize who is that person. To to back big baggy, mole hold there on. Historian lo so the big baggy. Ti oba abi mommy abi daddy kan ba sọ̀rọ̀ history to back big baggy. We know how to excuse them. That's the whole point. We know how to excuse them. Well, that's not their job, or not. They're just another human being like everybody else. Well, we expect them to know some history, but it's not like we pay Tobashi mistake. It will be one major issue. Be historian. So New Palace are a traditional historian. That was the point I was making. So when a king makes mistake on history, that's the whole idea. When a king makes mistake on history, it is to say that, well, yeah, it's not something unexpected, also not something extremely surprising. If a historian makes a major gaffe on history, it may be surprising. But if a king makes a major gaffe on history, it may not be extremely surprising. That's the whole idea.
Absolutely. And I agree. So the funny thing with when we put up things in the comment section, that you screenshot it because they sent some things to me as well, is the context matters. If someone is telling you about what the king says and you type in the comment section, we're not supposed to listen to them, just hear them for hearing's sake. It's totally different from what you just heard him say. As a matter of fact, what Olabola just said is exactly what I said in response to what was written in the comment section. That what kings say is not sacrosanct because they might, and I think he has even mentioned this idea of dates, when you hear dates, and things like that. So the point is not to say that take everything the king is saying, but also the idea of, and again, is emphasis on hearing them for hearing's sake. It's a very disrespectful statement. When people say things like, so why did you now bring him here if you just will hear them for hearing's sake? So the point is not to say everything he's saying, you take it hook, line, and sinker. You should be able to also compare with other sources. For instance, someone wrote in the comment section, a particular king said his own people came from Sudan. Just because the king said it doesn't mean that it is necessarily correct. However, we cannot also now say that, we are hearing them for hearing's sake. And I think, like I said, they are a source of information, but they are not the source. And I think interestingly, we actually align on these things. We do. I agree with you on that. But yeah, thank you for making it short as well. I'm in a hurry because it's weekend and my kids, I want to go be with them. Just like a sort of rounding up. Tomorrow, 11 a.m. if I time, we'll be discussing Oro. And we're going to be having some people from Benin Republic come around. Lion Pro for Ghana. Jesus Christ. Sorry, I was going to meet somebody else. I don't know who is the clown that was writing Lion Prof. You always have people like that. No. It's a conversation. We're not going deep into the religious part of it. We're just talking about the cultural aspect and the scientific aspect. We'll be having some people from Benin Republic join us for that conversation. Again, like I said, from what I've noticed, when Benin Republic people talk about religion, they sound to me like the Yoruba people in Nigeria. The ones on ground, not the ones online. The ones on the ground are very grounded. They know exactly what they believe and how to look at the cultural aspect of other things. And I think we can learn a lot from those people. So please, tomorrow let's come around. I know a lot of you already have things you'd like to share as well. We're open to learning. but we're going to be listening to them because they seem to me to be more grounded on religious matters, especially when you hear them talk about Egun and Oro yesterday. So please, let's come around tomorrow for that conversation. Also, at some point in the conversation, I'll talk about the plans that we have for Redomi. So I'll do that tomorrow on Saturday. Somewhere in the midst of the conversation or after the conversation, we'll have that as well tomorrow. I want to thank everybody that's been part of today's event. It took a while before we started the interview, but I'm glad we eventually did it. I want to thank Baba Wori especially and my sister Wori Saxon for all you did behind the scenes to ensure that KBC got on our live. Also, like we said, we learned a lot from him today. We also have things that we probably controvert on that we don't agree with, and that's fine. Some of those things we've mentioned. Some other time we'll probably open some live sessions to discuss those things in details. But let me also quickly say that discussing those things do not constitute disrespect. It just means that you also understand, just like Olawola said, where that person is coming from. However, let's not throw the baby away with the bathwater. I want to thank everybody, those in the comment section. Thanks for typing. Thanks for not tapping by bad things. Some people did share, but they were muted. But thanks for typing, for tapping, for liking and sharing. I really do appreciate you. Before we go, I'd just like to maybe give 1 minute each to everybody on the platform. Multi-shoot, but I was thinking 5:30 before, then I almost saw the 6, but apparently it took just 6. So I don't know if anybody wants to say anything before we close the live for live today.
So Buso, you this a good sessions to have, especially exposing and introducing our monarchs to the public. Sometimes a lot of them often are in their palaces, right? And this kind of opportunity to talk to the public, it also makes them think again, right? And also it gives them a reason to dig a little bit deeper. And I hope we are able to continue to bring them more, right? And then the people who are listening to us, I hope they also knowing that this is also a privilege, right? I mean, it's not a right because except you are from that palace, sometimes you don't even get to interact with this KBS except to see them on the news. But there's something I want us to take from it. We are building something around the Yoruba block. And we also want you as a Yoruba person to understand that thing. And that's your identity. Be it in Nigeria or be it in Benin Republic or be it elsewhere. You can see that now with this event, you can know without a doubt that there's something and that thing is worthy of pride, irrespective of what it is. And lastly, I mean, I know Olota mentioned it, I wish they have got their palaces ready for tourism. It was something I actually mentioned to them when I was there because they have this Enuowa and the palace was very proud of it. And they will tell you that's where the Orunmila stone is. For me, what I saw is opportunity for tourism and revenue in that aspect. They have the library of Ajayi Crowder. They have the second story building, but there's no commerce around these things. So it marvels me when I visited places like this, and I'm coming from Washington, D.C. that generate billions of dollars around histories that are younger than what we are talking about. So I think I want to throw this as a challenge to all our Yoruba people. Yes, a lot of our ancient kingdoms, you can, as Yoruba people, don't let it go to the outsiders. Approach these palaces, right? Maybe what they needed is just a little bit of encouragement to build infrastructures around this thing to make it beautiful. Then get an hotel and be the one to get the people that will be the tourists. These are very good opportunities to generate revenue for self, for the community, and for Yoruba land. So thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, Baba Wari, and thanks for all you helped with today. I really do appreciate it. Wari Saxon.
Yeah, so I think I am simply just going to thank everybody for their participation today. I have seen enough to know not to comment on certain things publicly. So the rest of everything else that you guys have spoken about in the last half hour or so, yeah, I'm not going to touch that anymore. Anyways, so thank you everyone, for your support and for
being, shall I say, more constructive than you were at the previous meeting. And hopefully, I look forward to us, comporting ourselves even better than we did today. So thank you very much for your time, and hopefully we'll be able to bring a traditional ruler or a monarch from one of the northern Yoruba towns shortly. So we'll work on that, and hopefully so that we're not just talking to southern Yoruba obas. So yeah, over to you, Sui.
Yeah, Eshel, thank you very much. So from time to time, we're going to bring in other kings, also get into other topics. Let's just have like an open heart, an open mind to these things, and please feel free to also share your own knowledge with us. Thank you, everybody. I really want to appreciate it. We're going to listen to the anthem now. Please, 11 o'clock tomorrow, we're going to start conversing on 11 o'clock if time. We'll be talking about Oro. Again, not so much from the spiritual aspect as it is from the cultural and scientific aspect. A little religious, especially if it's coming from people that are very grounded. No problem with that. But then we shall enjoy ourselves. And then much later, we'll plan on bringing other kings from time to time. Please, PFA is here. I want to hear you talk before I close the session, end the session. You can play anthem.
Thank you very much,
Sure.
Mr. Bukiri.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to the audience. I come from a process improvement background, so it looks like we're improving from what we had the previous time to now. So at some point we'll get to a point where we can actually be open-minded and be ready to learn from these people. Also, Mr. Busui said something which is very, very important, and that is the fact that there is no, or we shouldn't be dealing with a single source of information. So we look at different sources, we put them together, and we will be able to even, talk together about it and reach a conclusion. Oh yeah, it must be this. So rather than saying there is only one source of information and that source is the only source we believe in, let's just be open-minded and be ready to learn. We said some things, and this is one thing I like the most about the two sessions we've had. There are some things we've spoken about on this platform which some of our kings have, at least the two kings we've had, they've actually corroborated some of these things we've shared amongst ourselves. Like I remember yesterday we were talking about Egungun, and Kabesi Olota, he confirmed one thing today. I think I specifically said in Yoruba land, Oje Ota should be one of the top 3. I specifically said that yesterday. And when he came today, he said, ngbà tí àwọn brothers wà ní Benin Republic, wọ́n ní pé a máa ṣe ọ̀jẹ̀ bọ́n ṣe ní Benin. And I said, I know of Ota very well. And Kabesi came and, he confirmed that. And I think there were some other things, he said. Tó jẹ́ pé wọ́n kàn fi stamp, bí kàn fi royal stamp. Sorry, àwọn nǹkan tá ti ń sọ yẹn, and it's very, very important. And as I keep saying, it's not about us. Again, it's more of about the generations coming. And we can document all these as much as we can. But then, láti rí ọgbọ́n yẹn lára àwọn àgbàlagbà yẹn, a ní láti farabalẹ̀ gan-an, àníjà. Tá bá tẹ̀ máa discuss it later, we'll let them go, and then we discuss it. We ponder over it, and then Amari Ogmokombe. Thank you very much, everyone. And this is just, I think it's the beginning of greater things to happen in Yoruba land by the grace of God. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Arakon PFA. So let's listen to the anthem, and then we'll be closing the session.